Hello, Brian Henneuse with SandPoint Consulting. Today I'm going to be discussing some of the features of SAP Analytics Cloud, or SAC. In a traditional planning system, we often are required to make inputs at the base level members. That means that if we have a summary level account, such as gross sales, we have to make edits to each of the individual sales line items. That's not always realistic, and many times a planner is required, especially near the end of the planning process, to make some top-level adjustments. I'm going to be doing a demonstration today that uses a gross sales account that is comprised of two different sub-accounts and also has a customer dimension and has multiple customers within that dimension. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a private version where I can make changes and make some edits and then come up with a new forecast. So the first step in making a version is to check the version management icon here up at the top. And you'll see on the right-hand pane here, it's opened up a new screen for me. I can go ahead and pick the version that I would like to make a copy of, and I'm going to pick the Q2 forecast. So I'm going to go ahead and click copy. The first thing that I do is I give this a version name. So I'm going to call this Q3 update. And we're going to say that this is a forecast version. Now I have several options here. I can copy all data, I can copy the visible data, I can choose which data to copy, or I can create a blank version. I'm going to go ahead and choose which data to copy. I'm going to go ahead and copy parts of my Q2 forecast using the time dimension. I am going to copy the fourth quarter of the Q2 forecast and make some edits to it. So you can already see I've got this checked here. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that so. And it shows me my selected members are October, November, December. Going to go ahead and click OK. So you can see now that I have a new version over here. I have a private version. Now within SAC, there are public versions and there are private versions. Private versions are versions that only the user can see. Public versions would be versions that everyone can see. And the public versions require your updates to be published. Private versions, all your edits are going to be done in real time. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about version management. We could talk about that in another video. So over here on our screen now we see that we have a Q3 update for October, November, and December, just like I requested. So within SAC, one of the nice features within SAC, I'm going to go ahead and collapse this for now. One of the nice features within SAC, like I said, is I can do some top-down planning. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say that for my Q2 forecast, I had 140 million. I'm going to say that I would like 142 million here now. So go ahead and type 142 million in and hit enter. Now you can see that down here it's giving me an indication that the values have been saved and the cells have changed color. I'm going to go ahead and open up my, well, you can see first of all that I made a change to the top level and my my two accounts that roll up into gross sales have both been modified. I can further open up my customer dimension and you can see that those changes were also pushed down on the customer level. So let's go ahead and try another way to make an update. Alternatively, instead of doing I typed in 142 million, I could also type in a mathematical function. So say I wanted to type in plus 2 million and hit enter. And that'll take my existing value and add an additional $2 million to it. Again, that's a better example here. You can see that my customer dimension has been updated. You can see that those changes have been pushed all the way down. So by default, SAP, by changing a number, would use the proportionate method, which would be that it would take a percentage of what you've added and then allocate that down based on the values within the dimension. Alternatively, I do have other options, and we're going to go ahead and show you one of those right now. I'm going to assume that I want to add an amount, but I wanted to do it equitably. I want to do it equally across this gross sales account. I'm going to collapse the sales dimension there. So I want it equally across this gross sales account and this gross sales account. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and click distribute value. Now I clicked on the 90 million, so that's defaulted over here to be 90 million, but we're going to say that I want to add an additional 5 million to that. And I'm going to click book as additional amount. Again, this is going to append the value. And down here in my recommendations, I need to choose one. I'm going to go ahead and choose distribute to quote by account members one level below. So the quote by account members would be the gross sales third party and then the gross sales consignment. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now it's telling me it wants to append. And my driver options here, I can input values, input weights, equally or proportionally. Proportionally is the default. I'm going to go ahead and click equally. And so you can see here, it's previewing what it's going to give me. It's going to add $2.5 million to my gross sales third party and $2.5 million to my gross sales consignment. I can also check and uncheck this preview results in table. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that, and you'll see the values return to what they were. Go ahead and check it again, and you can see those increase again. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And you can see that my value's been changed. Also note down here, it's telling me that 1,200 values have been changed. That is because I am, again, planning at a parent level, and it is applying this to all dimensions within my model. So that's something that's very valuable for a lot of planners, because they often are requested to make high-level changes to accounts, and having to go through and allocate those amounts to each individual account and dimension, that may take a lot of time, and this would save a lot of time for a lot of planners. So let's go ahead and do a third way of making an update. We're going to go ahead and make an update to our December amount. Open up the customer dimension, and you can see I've got various customers here. In this planning example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this amount here, I would like that to stay the same because I feel like that's a good amount. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that cell value. And I'm going to come up here, and we're going to say in this example that I want to take this amount to 170 million. So I'm going to go ahead and type 170 million in here. And now you can see all my values have been updated with the exception of the value that I locked. So this gives me the ability to designate there's a count that I know I want that value to stay there, but I need to be able to push through a change. And that gives me some flexibility to be able to keep one amount the same and change others. These are just a couple of the enhanced planning methodologies available within SAC. For more information or to schedule a demonstration, go ahead and see our website at SandPointC.com. Thanks for watching.